have just a little bit of a Sunday stroll, and I'll be right back. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Black Spring with Autumn on a what I'm calling a Sunday stroll. I just have a few things for you to round out this weekend, and of course, we'll start with the three letters that seem to stay in the loop these days, and it would be BLM. Looks like we've got some we've public record has rendered some information that you might be interested in. And we're going to start out, before we get into those stories, we're going to start out with a little bit of a Twitch honor roll, as well as a thank you to our loyal patrons and subscribers, and of course, always viewers like you. I will be right back in just a moment. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, there's something for everyone. So please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. Hello to AZ Infidel. Thank you, AZ, for tuning in. I really appreciate all of your support. And thank you so much for coming in. And I want to start out with our top liners and what I'm coming to you with on this Sunday evening / Sunday night. However you want to spin it. We have, once again, some public documents. It looks like renders some information on the BLM self-appointed founder, Patrisse Cullors, and we have some information on the funding sources, which may be of interest to you, and you might be surprised, or you may not be surprised at where those sources come from. We also have a story in which it looks like BLM protesters, they showed up for a rally for a victim, and they left after learning he was a white carjacker. The third story we have is we just have a bit of an article coming from our friends over at CFFS involving that First Amendment, and it's entitled "Free Speech Has Legal and Ethical Confines. Propaganda Does Not." And if we have time, we might get into the digital mental health that's coming out of the WE forum. So, nothing too crazy. Just, I guess, what can I say? The usual suspects. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Sunday stroll. guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And I also may have another personality to add to the flavor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the flavor, but the personality rather, but you will be introduced. You will be introduced to this personality, and I honestly believe I actually went into my own archives to bring this to you because I honestly believe that this personality or this figure who thinks quite highly of herself, she was a primer. Um, oh no, oh no! Hi, Awesome Alice. Thank you so much for coming in. So I do believe we have some interesting clips for you today, but let's first go into, we've heard about the portfolio of Miss Colors, of BLM, and we've heard about, we actually, I'm not quite sure if I covered the actual, her response, but it was something along the lines that she's totally justified because like many people, she's supporting family members with this expansive portfolio of this real estate portfolio. So however, I want to go into that story first. Let me read a comment here. Awesome Alice says, I made it. Another baby has died, 3-year-old at his birthday party in Miami. Awesome Alice, it is absolutely, it's disgusting. And it's also, it's at a level of desensitizing. It's, you can't keep getting, crashed with waves or the wind knocked out of you, because at some point, you just, it's not the same. It doesn't, the impact is not quite the same. Or you've managed to brace yourself, or you've figured out how to brace yourself against so many of these tragedies at once, or one after another. It's very sad. It's very sad. Let me read another comment. Hi, Spirit of Liberty 1775 says, I'm from Miami. You have a link. I'm not sure if that question is for me or if it's for Awesome Alice. I don't have a link right now. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I'm going to get into a bunch of stories right now. And yeah, so this will round you out for your weekend. And Awesome Alice says, oh no, not that socialist that really practices capitalism. Well, we're going to go to that story. Just give me just 1 second. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And as always, I appreciate you guys for taking the time. And if you're out there, you're not quite sure if you're coming in for this segment of Black Spring with Autumn, I do thank you for considering Black Spring, because you have choices, no matter what your ilk is, you have choices out there, whether it's alternative news, whether it's mainstream news, or whether it's, who knows? You have choices. You have audio choices. You have podcast choices, and I don't know. Maybe you even have your own podcast. So you chose to be here, and I thank you for it. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and take us to. I'm going to take us to the story on Miss Colors, and that dare I say all of these personalities tend to, it seems like they run together, for the lack of a better word. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get into this next, to the first story of this evening stream. Hope you guys are doing well out there in these wonky times, and dare I say dangerous times. Wonky and dangerous. All right. So what I have before you, I'll give you some full scale on this one, and I'll be sure to catch up with your comments as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right, so for your full scale, this comes from the Gateway Pundit, and it looks like capital colors. Let's have it right about now. We have this coming out of the Gateway Pundit. It says it's entitled "Big Tech Giants from Twitter, Facebook, and Netflix donated $7.5 million to the BLM co-founder, then censored stories about her real estate spree." Now, this is penned or under the pen name or pen womanship of Cassandra Fairbanks. All right, as you can see here, looks like they gave us a mini montage, if you will, of looks like the Topanga property in LA. I'm not exactly sure where Topanga Canyon is. But even I said, for LA or that particular area, I'm not a real estate tycoon or hawk, but I think it's kind of modest, the price, but I guess modest is not even a compromise, considering considering she's a Marxist, okay? And according to those big tech moguls, including Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz, and Patricia Ann Keelan, the wife of Netflix's billionaire CEO, have donated $7.5 million to groups associated with BLM co-founder Patrice Kahn Cullors. Big Tech has been censoring stories critical about Con Colors and her real estate buying blitz, while she and her groups advocate for policies that the Silicon Valley billionaires support. All right, we'll continue here. Specifically, Con Colors has been loudly advocating for net neutrality. Quote, Dustin Moskovitz, a billionaire co-founder of Facebook, and his wife, Kari Tuna, are among the biggest donors to groups controlled by Con Colors. Through their open philanthropy and good ventures nonprofits, they contributed more than $5.5 million between 2017 and 2020, according to public records. And quote, the New York Post reports, quote, the cash went to Dignity and Power Now, a nonprofit started by Con Colors, and Reform LA Jails, a California state political action committee she co-founded to lobby for civilian oversight of the LA Sheriff's Department. Sorry about this, that little, Hollywood's having their love fest today. So it kind of gets leaked in here. Dorsey has also been a big donor to the controversial Marxist. He funneled $1.5 million to a coalition of anti-capitalist groups founded by Con Colors in 2020 using his hashtag Start Small initiative and in connection with Clara Lionel Foundation, a charity founded by singer Rihanna. Quote, in addition to providing cash, social media giants have censored perceived criticisms of Con Colors and the BLM movement, including a story first published by The Post about the activist's recent $3.2 million in real estate purchases. Facebook earlier this month blocked its users from linking to the story, which was based on public records, saying it violated its privacy and personal information policy. Twitter blocked journalist Jason Whitlock when he tried to post a story about Con Colors' purchase of a $1.4 million Los Angeles home earlier this month. In quote, the Post report states. Okay, so there you have it. So I think it kind of loops us back into some things that I asserted or we asserted before, that I've said this before about the founding of that group and the company that they keep, or the coalitions that they build, the NGOs and even their PAC, their political action committees. Well, of course, we discovered that the DNC was a part of the political action committees last year, of course, and that also led us on the path to the Act Blue link as well. So yeah, no, there's nothing new here. It's just that Silicon Valley's involved. You have the state political action committees. Of course, it's the California state political action committees, and also, of course, the censorship. So you've got controlled opposition there. You name it. Maybe even some shell game. I don't know. What do you know? All right, guys. So I really appreciate you for coming in and kicking us off on this Sunday. And I want to say hello to everybody that is coming in to join us. And for those of you who have already made comments, I'm going to get to those before we continue. And Awesome Alice says, and hello to Tyrant's Bane TDOA. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Awesome Alice says, I look at all local news stations. My aunt is in Florida, so I keep an eye out on the area. Good call, Awesome Alice. Very astute you are. Thank you so much for all you do and your contributions around here. Spirit of Liberty 1775 says, I'm so glad I left South Florida. It's getting bad down there. It's always been ebbs and flows, but since the CV, with the economy being dismantled, it's gotten even worse now. And Awesome Alice says, it's funny, she's all about family now, but her website states to dismantle the nuclear family. Very, very shrewd. Awesome Alice. Yeah, that's a little bit, dare I say, hypocritical, or it's a walking contradiction. That group, they just keep talking themselves into, they just keep talking themselves, their own words. They don't expect those words to ever come back. They don't. And if you dare confront her with that, just probably watch her head, explode, because you repeated, or you fact checked her with her own words. So, and that's no pun intended on the con. That was spelled with a Khan. Yeah, it's just Awesome Alice's quote con end quote is the perfect middle name for her. I'm not sure. I'm beginning to wonder if that translates to something of a bit of a, dare I say, imperialistic. It's kind of an imperialistic moniker, if you will, if that's even real. Even if that's even her real middle name, I have no idea. But I'm sure it has a meaning. Is it something? It's got to be something of royalty, or something, or yeah, something there is thick. Leader, ruler. So there you go. Get your moniker together. Get it together. Thank you, Awesome Alice. See, you bring out the best. You bring out the best in the stream. Thank you. And Awesome Alice says the only Black lives that matter was their own. But the sickening thing about all of this is that, as I said this earlier, many people, no matter how well intentioned they are, they will find a way to defend her, or they will find a way to step over a bunch of dead bodies just so they can point the finger at that person with not so much melanin in their skin. That's what, it's sick. It's very sick. But that's what but as I said before, I think this is what they're trained to do. They're trained to deflect and project, and that's what you get. And Awesome Alice says, you got to break down on the Green New Deal. I'm sure there's somewhere in the archives that I was on about the Green New Deal about 2 years ago. And then you got pieces of it in the primaries. Every single one of them rolled out a little bite. You got a little bite of the Green New Deal, and they were still denying it. They tried to deflect. They tried to distance themselves. It seems, if my memory serves me correctly, they tried to distance themselves from the Green New Deal, and then their party wasn't supporting it for a long time. I don't know if you guys remember that. So yeah, it's a loop. It's a loop, but there's always, it's not, they're not too far away. Never too far from the loop. All right, so we have, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it's Alex Beeping Jones. Bleeping Jones. Why do I keep saying Beeping Jones? Maybe that's a Freudian slip, because I want to say beep instead of bleep. I don't have a bleep or beep button right now. Thanks so much for coming in, and I really appreciate it. Tyrants Bang TDOA says hit the like button, people. I really appreciate that. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to have just a little bit of a tiny break, and we're going to come back. I'm going to add to the flavor. Since we're on about BLM, why don't we I just want to give you one of the first personalities that I ran into, like one of the most gaslighting, I think. It's just outrageous. But I'm even more surprised at the people that were sitting before her. So you'll find out what that's about. And yeah, in just a second, we'll be right back with our next piece, and we'll show you the piece and a little bit of footage from the BLM protesters rally for victim. And they left right after learning that he was white. He was a white carjacker. I hold the line. Dare I say to my white friends or my white brothers and sisters, hold the line. Hold the line where available. I will be right back right after this. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys so much once again for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And we are going to move on to our next segment. And so, maybe that gave you guys some insight on, I guess, it's a backing, if you have, I mean, that's a lot of power, right? Silicon Valley, your California political action committees, the DNC, Act Blue. I mean, all under the guise of prison reforms. And I mean, I don't know, what is it going to take? What is it going to take? I don't know. I don't really know what else do you need to see? I mean, but if you're not looking, then then everything's fine. Everything's fine, right? All right. So we're going to go ahead and go to our next liner, in which, they apparently they picked up their knee pads or picked up their records. The party was over. Went home. Pick up your records and go home. It's just a white guy, just a carjacker. All right. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So we're going to go over to that story. Hope you guys are doing well on your Sunday. And this one's going to come out of the New York Post. And of course, I will be giving you guys full screen on this. Hope you guys are well once again. Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So maybe you guys can reprove me on some of this. I don't know. I don't know. It's like, do they have, what is BLM, some type of first responders of some kind? When they get their knee pads ready, they go out, on, even if it's wrong, I don't know what's worse, the media, coming out and piling on to stories or piling on to things that they've done no research on. And kind of, it's almost like they gaslight. And this is pretty embarrassing for the group. I would think this is a humiliating point for them in their career. Can I call it a career, or in their quest to do good? Or I don't know. You guys, we're kind of in this together at this point. However, This is the BLM protesters rally for, quote, victim, end quote, leave after learning he was white. All right, I'm going to show you this footage and yeah, and then we'll get into it. However, actually, let me give you a little bit of bun and lettuce here. According to this, the Black Lives Matter protesters in Minnesota dropped to a knee and set off to a march over a fatal police shooting. All right, so I'll stop there because that's a little bit more than bun and lettuce, but I was getting ahead of myself. All right, so here we are. Not sure if we have audio on this one, but as you can see, someone is going down. Can I call it the median? Excuse my lack of highway patrol. All right, so there you go. You're watching this. This is out of Minnesota. And they're zooming in here. It's very short on the clip here. All right, so I'm going to zoom us out of this one.
Homeowners, this incredible tip is just for you.
So that's not for us. Okay, so beyond the bun and lettuce here, we have Black Lives Matter protesters in Minnesota dropped to a knee and set off to march over a fatal police shooting, only to return when they learned it was a white carjacker who had fired at police, according to reports. Dozens of people protesting outside of Governor Tim Walz's mansion in St. Paul on Sunday were filmed by Fox 9 reporter Mitty Hicks as they knelt for a moment of silence over initial rumors about Sunday's 3 p.m. fatal shooting. Quote, protesters kneel after hearing there was an officer-involved shooting in Burnsville moments ago, end quote, Hicks tweeted of the wild caught-on-camera armed carjacking in the suburbs. Quote, this information has not been confirmed, but this group says they're heading there, end quote, Hicks said. Quality control, how about it? The man who was killed is believed to be a white man in his 20s who had stolen a car from a woman at gunpoint, then repeatedly shot at the cops as they chased him, Burnsville police said. So that was the footage that you just saw. So here you have your Bureau of Criminal Apprehension agents investigating the scene of the officer-involved shooting in Burnsville, Minnesota. According to this, a traffic camera footage shared by KARE 11 showed the suspect leaping out of the still-moving stolen car, then running into the road and seemingly pointing his gun at an approaching SUV before he was shot by, quote, multiple, end quote, pursuing officers, police said. The BLM marchers, riled by the local police-involved deaths of George Floyd and Daunte Wright, soon appeared to get word that the latest shooting was not one fit for protest. As you can see, you have your apprehension team there. This is them getting the data, the investigation going there. The protesters turned back, and instead headed to Brooklyn Center, the city where Wright died, quote, because they need more information about what happened in Burnsville first, end quote, Hicks said in an update about an hour after her initial video. Word of the planned protest after a rush to judgment quickly had the protesters ripped online. Ripped. Quote, for an armed carjacker? Are people this stupid? One person replied to Hicks' video, while Amanda Phelps said that the group planned to, quote, just immediate loot/riot without getting the facts. Who else does that sound like? Does it sound like another institution that we're familiar with? According to this, Brenda Hartman, meanwhile, pointed out that the latest suspect had been shooting at police. Quote, are they kneeling for the amazing work these officers did to keep the community safe from a madman with a gun, end quote, he asked of the protest group. The Burnsville carjacker has yet to be identified. No police were injured. There were no reports of any of the suspect's victims being wounded either. Quote, all Burnsville police officers wear body cameras, and camera data will be handled by the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehensions, BCA, who will lead the investigation, end quote, the force said. So I don't know what do you guys think? Maybe somebody can give them a little bit of a, I don't know. Can they catch up? Can they keep up with their I don't know, they need a better dispatcher system, right? I don't know, call me crazy, but yeah, I just think that's a little sloppy. A little sloppy. Jermaine G's here. I'm gonna read some comments here. And while we got our we're getting our dosage of we're getting our doses of BLM right now. This is the egg on face version 2.0. Awesome Alice says, I know Black Lives Matter, but we need to work on actually fixing the community. That's why I like to listen to you. You have a great mind that real female empowerment is about girls with brain power. Awesome Alice, you're most generous. Yeah, Awesome Alice, I do believe that there's much work to be done. Do I have the exact solutions? No. What I will say is that this type of that solutions are going to take some time. It's, you got to have I think you need the right components in the formula to, you got to get to the root. I think you got to get to the base. You got to get to the root. There I go into music. You got to get to the root of the chord. You got to figure out where you are. You got to build from the bottom up. I mean, I don't know any other way right now. And am I saying that's the right solution? I'm saying that what's going on right now is absolutely not working. It's very sad that I've said this before, that I believe that people are being led to the slaughter, and it's like with a blindfold on. It's almost like with a blindfold on. They believe in these people, and they're just people. And these people that are participating in this, I think that some of those people actually think that they're doing something good. Do I think all of them are absolutely diabolical? I'm not convinced that they are, but I think that that they need to satisfy, they think that they're satisfying something. I guess they're not, maybe there's something that they're not quite fulfilled. So they need to do this, even if it's disruptive, and even if it's not helpful, if it's hurtful, if it's hurting people. Sometimes, sometimes you have to tell people, like, don't help me. If you give me a little bit of space, then I can navigate this a little bit better, because I'm on the inside of this thing, and you're looking from the outside, and you see the human condition. You see some suffering, you see some disparities, you see, but you're not on the inside of this. You couldn't possibly, you can empathize, but you cannot, this is not only is it not your fight, it's not fixable with what you're doing. It's not fixable in that way. And I don't know. I find that, when I've seen these rallies go on, a lot of times they'll silence anybody that tries to have a dialogue. They'll basically say, oh, you can't talk to him. You'll find some white liberal that'll tell the black person that shows, because most of the time it's them on their own front lines. They're repping their front lines. And if a black person happens to be there, oh, don't you talk to them. Don't talk to them. All of a sudden, you got to be, it's very oppressive. It's very oppressive. So I'm going to just keep going here. And yeah, of course, we're going to get on to a couple of more lines here. This next personality just kind of blew my mind. So if you're there, if you're not sitting down, go ahead. You might want to go ahead and sit down for this next one, because I was absolutely stunned at the reception. I don't want to give up the ghost on this next one, but let me read a couple more comments and I'll keep going here. And thank you, Awesome Alice. Thank you for your support and for your faith in those, that aren't quite towing the line of, of BLM. And Austin Alice says it's political tactics is what it is. Like how the media pushes certain agendas, then overload a person with it on every channel. Jermaine G's here. Thank you, Jermaine G. He says BLM quest is to make money off of people. It's very true and very sad. And Information Man Show's here. Thank you, Information Man Show. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in and supporting the channel. Zero the Infinite is here. He says hi and greetings, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Zero the Infinite. And Alex Beeping Jones is here to support Bleeping Jones. I'm going to get that L one day. I'm going to get it. And John H. Roberts Jr., thank you so much for coming in. He says, silent YT male listener. Silent YT male listener here. So we have a convertee from Periscope. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this next one as gently as I can. Hope you guys are doing well once again out there. So this next personality, I'm going to play the clip. And if you have questions, I'll try to fill in as much as I can. But yeah, it's really thick and it's really thick. So, and look who's here. It's Ronnie Mann. He's a voyeur alert. Work makes Ronnie Mann a dull boy. Listening while working. Find tonic and build harmonically. Yes. There you go. There you go. Because without the tonic, I think you need to, you can pivot around some of the other, even past tonic, there's some other places that you can anchor, but this stuff that's fallen in between, it's just not, the discords and the things that are not quite lining up, it can't. All right. Thank you guys so much. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to the next personality or the next figure. Now, dare I say this in the times that we are in? I'm not going to be shaming this person. I'm not here to shame anyone. I absolutely detest using their language. I'm not going to be shaming this person based on anything, any attributes, if you will, any physical attributes. It's just the excrement that's coming out that's hard to process. So we're going to go to the next personality, and she goes by the name of Ashley Shackelford. And to me, she comes off as, she's an auxiliary to me, to BLM. And, she thinks of, to me, I'm not sure what her domain of competence is, but she doesn't really speak of those in this clip. So I'm going to not talk about it and bring you guys to it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. This is going to come from my archives. And yes, this is Ashley Shackelford. And what I'm going to give you, this is the bun and lettuce on this. She appears to be giving some type of lecture to white people. And you might be stunned about her message or her thesis here. So I'm just going to be quiet and let you hear it for yourself. I mean, I can't make this up if I tried. Tears. So I'm going to give you some full scale on this one. Hello, Gary Gage. Thank you so much for coming in. So I'm going to give you guys full scale on this one so that you can get the full effects. And of course, I will cut it where necessary. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. With Autumn.
White people are racist. So I put this up because I really want any white person in the room to know up front that this is what we're dealing with, that it's not going to be this coddling of white tears and what that looks like. We're not going to discuss how maybe some of us have worked it out. No, you're always going to be racist, actually. So even when you're on your path to trying to figure out how to be a better human being, because I believe that white people are born into not being human, like that actually instead of people of color and black folks being dehumanized, that actually everyone is dehumanized on thread within white supremacy, that y'all are born into a life to not be human, and that's what y'all are taught to do, to be demons. So in this particular way, white people are all racist. So I just want y'all to know that up front.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys were picking that up. I mean, I will be happy to. Well, I'll play that again if you need to. If you really need to. So if you like to hear that again, you can just place a 1 in the stream, and we'll go by vote on that. And but the thing about it is, the first thing I'm like, okay, these people that are sitting before this woman, what is going on and what goes on inside of their minds that they can actually sit through somebody telling them that, oh, 0 the infinite, I've got 1. See, I need, I need 1, 2, I need maybe 2 more votes, and I'll play it again. And John H. Roberts says clip is 5 or 6 years old. Yes, but I still think it's a primer. It was that we've been primed for this culture that's going on right now. I don't think we didn't get here overnight is the point of me playing something like this. And for people that have not seen this particular clip, you have people out here actually attending. If you didn't notice, she actually had a pay me to tell you, to paint you with a broad brush of being racist and being demons and being born into not being human. I mean, would you pay her? Would you pay her for her seminar? I mean, what kind of how audacious can you be to have someone to host a seminar like that? And those women were just sitting there, it seems like some of them were biting their lip almost. And, but they sat there. Nobody got out. Nobody got up and walked out. And I don't know what they thought they were going to, but this woman had where's her empirical evidence on that? That is what she was saying is based on an opinion. And see, that's the thing. People think that they can just say things. They don't realize that when you're in a debate or you're trying to, they think they're so intellectual, but they don't realize it's full contact. If you tell somebody that they're racist, don't you think you need to back it up with something more than just, she wasn't backing it up. She wasn't backing it up with anything. She had her, her flip pad and declaring people racist. I mean, what's that worth to you? Would you pay for that seminar? And hang on just a second. Gary, let me read a couple of comments here. Gary Gage says, I seen that the first time 3 months ago. It is crazy. Hello, Old School Wolf Media. Yeah, I mean, that was, and I saw that some months ago, but, I just think it's been in play for a long time. And, it's not, I don't think it's in some areas, these things, reach people faster than others. I think the more liberal your city is, your culture is in your area, the more you've been exposed to these things. If you're in an armpit town or a tiny town in rural America, you may never have heard of this woman. Maybe never. And Awesome says, replay it for 0. Okay, I will do it. You guys have a strong stomach. All right, I'm going to replay it. So just give me 1 second. This is going back to some old tunes, not old tunes, but old videos. So, all right, here we are. Let me see if I can get back to where we were here. I made PayPal me, right? This segment on Black Spring with Autumn.
people are racist. So I put this up because I really want any white person in the room to know up front that this is what we're dealing with, that it's not going to be this coddling of white tears and what that looks like. We're not going to discuss, oh, maybe some of us have worked it out. No, you're always going to be racist, actually. So even when you're on your path to trying to figure out how to be a better human being, because I believe that white people are born into not being human, like that actually instead of people of color and black folks being dehumanized, that actually everyone is dehumanized on thread within white supremacy, that y'all are born into a life to not be human, and that's what y'all are taught to do, to be demons. So in this particular way, white people are all racist. So I just want y'all to know that up front.
I'll probably put this link in the stream for you, or you can get the reinforcement from from previous videos. However, yes, so that was Ashley Shackelford, and the amount of arrogance and megalomania there, it just it's very it works. It's what they do. She is absolutely convinced that that she's a professional and that she's counseling you, and that she's even thinking she's a social worker on some level. I mean, you've seen it before. If you say you are, if you believe you are, you just have to convince other people. And I think she thinks she's convincing people, even if she's wrong. All right, guys, so I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. So yeah, that was the second time on that one. So we're gonna take just a mini break here, and I will be right back right after this. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that like, unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. To this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So we are going to go to our final segment on this stream. And once again, I hope you guys are doing well out there. All right, and looks like we're going to do a little bit of we're going to change gear just a little bit. We're going to look at a digital mental health, and that's coming out of the We Forum. Now, according to this, is the We Forum, and of course, I guess Davos and those out of, well, the party of Davos. We've looked at the We Forum and Klaus Schwab and all of and that entire coalition, and it looks like they have a digital mental health, and that is a solution. But how do we ensure its quality? So we're going to go to that one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And if you are experiencing the lag here, it is it's pretty, it seems that we have days that we don't lag as much, and then we have days that are pretty gross. So I thank you for your patience on that. So we're going to share the screen. Hope you guys are doing well out there. All right, so we're going to go to the digital mental health. And who knows what that's going to look like. All right, so what you have before you comes from our friends over at the We Forum. And this is digital mental health is here, but how do we ensure its quality? So it looks like, I don't know, could it be more devices are coming your way? According to this, now more than ever, the global mental health community must look to innovative solutions to curtail this, quote, second epidemic of mental ill health sweeping the world. The huge variety of solutions has created a new problem. How can one ensure the disruptive tech they are using is clinically validated, ethical, and efficacious? The forum has partnered with Deloitte to create a set of standards to vet digital mental health solutions called the Global Governance Toolkit for Digital Mental Health. Quote, despite substantial research advances showing what can be done to prevent and treat mental disorders and to promote mental health, translation into real world effects has been painfully slow. The global burden of disease attributable to mental disorders has risen inexorably in all countries in the context of major demographic, environmental, and socio-political transitions. New opportunities should be embraced, including those offered by the innovative use of digital technologies to deliver a range of mental health interventions, end quote. This quote from the Lancet Commission on Global Mental Health sheds light on the dire state of mental health care throughout the world and speaks to the urgency of addressing shortcomings with no delay. Sadly, the report is not describing the world we currently inhabit under the umbrella of, you guessed it, the CV-19. It was written in 2018. Since its release, the situation has only deteriorated with the impacts of the CV-19 pandemic on mental health, now even more so than prior to the CV-19. The global mental health community must look to innovative solutions to curtail the second epidemic of mental ill health sweeping the world. Benefits of digital mental health. Digital mental health solutions are proving even more beneficial than before, given the fact that in-person care is exceedingly difficult to come by. And there's no shortage of available solutions. Over 10,000 apps in the Apple and Google Play stores claim to treat some sort of psychological difficulty. And the list does not stop with apps. Phones and computers are enabling consumers to access services from anywhere at all hours, as opposed to waiting for and traveling to an appointment. Wearables can measure behavior, language, facial expressions, and voice tonality, creating data sets that are unlocking deeper understanding of the day-to-day fluctuations in a person's well-being. Artificial intelligence, what do you know? Machine learning and natural language processing can make diagnostic assessments based on this data, allowing new possibilities for early intervention. Augmented and virtual reality can simulate real-life scenarios a patient might encounter. Games have been developed that can more accurately diagnose specific conditions by observing behavior and reactions, and gamified treatments are more engaging for children and adults alike. So here it looks like we have some infographics. I'll probably put this in the stream for you guys. You have your infographics here. And I guess this is going to be, some of your framework for that. The benefits of the digital mental health are clear: increased access and affordability, less exposure to discrimination, consumer empowerment, and data-driven feedback. Governments and insurance bodies are keen to procure these services for consumers in desperate need of innovation. But the huge variety of solutions has created a new problem. Where does one begin where there are so many options? How can one separate the wheat from the chaff, and ensure that the disruptive tech they are using is clinically validated, ethical, and efficacious? The need is clear, and innovators themselves are eager to show their work and operate inside a framework where consumers can trust they are getting quality solutions. As Yuri Maricic, the chief medical officer of Payer, put it, quote, there's a huge opportunity here to be able to help patients if we do things right. But trust with patients is so important. Trust with healthcare providers and also payers is so important. And you can't have trust if you are trying to circumvent doing the right thing, end quote. All right, so here's the global governance toolkit for digital mental health. To address this issue, the World Economic Forum has partnered with Deloitte to create a set of standards to vet digital mental health solutions, building on a large body of literature and past efforts. The Global Governance Toolkit for Digital Mental Health seeks to give governments, regulators, and independent assurance bodies the means to create and adapt policies that address major ethical concerns, thereby protecting and empowering consumers by enabling more informed choices about their own mental health and encouraging the strategic growth of safe, ethical, and effective digital mental health services. Building on the Empowering 8 Billion Minds white paper, the toolkit was created by researching nearly 200 case studies of solutions that had at least 10,000 users, input from the Global Future Council on Mental Health, and a pilot run in collaboration with the New Zealand Ministry of Health Digital Mental Health and Addiction Service. That's a lot of health there. Though the New Zealand pilot has been an excellent first step, the work is far from done. Digital innovation does not recognize national borders, nor do mental illnesses. The toolkit seeks to catalyze a global approach to standards setting that will recognize this reality and the burden shared by citizens across the world. All right, did you pick up that? It does not recognize national borders, nor do mental illnesses. So they got to get their dig into anything that resembles, nationalism over here on the We Forum. But, we expect that. So I hope you guys are doing well out there. And it just looks like more control. Can you imagine them tracking all of those nuances of your process, or your facial expression, or it's a lot, right? Mini Ram TV, how are you? Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And Gary Gage. But here's the thing, if they're so concerned about mental health, what about the disruptions? You don't hear them talking about the disruptions of the CV-19 or the draconian measures of the lockdowns. They're not talking. Where did you see anything mentioned about suicide in there? I have not heard anybody talking about suicide rates. Not yet. That's mental health, right? Hi, Positively Penny. She says, hello, everyone. I'm going to go backwards a little bit here. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm going back a little bit far. Gary Gage says, it seems like what I read. Okay, I'm going too far. And Zero the Infinite says, there were white people there that didn't say anything, shaking my head. J.H. Roberts Jr. says, I'll bet she's a great dinner date. And Awesome Alice says, say hello to the new diversity training. Yeah, I went back a little far on this one, but it's all good here. Zero the Infinite says that almost sounds like the NOI doing diversity training. Awesome Alice says, that's why Trump discontinued the training. Now you understand. Okay, and Awesome Alice also says that I can't say victimhood. Or it was another thing, YouTube hates truth speaking. Okay, so Awesome Alice says, what's good for mental health is eat good, exercise, spending time with people you love, and doing things you love. Yes, I think that's more than a fair point, Awesome Alice. I think, keeping your mind occupied is, I'm not saying block things out or repress memories or repress everything, but I turn the TV off would be probably one of those things too. turn the TV off would probably be good for your mental health right about now. And I'm not a psychologist or sociologist or a psychiatrist. Just turn the TV off. All right. And Gary Gage says, according to what you just read, we are all mentally, I'll by their standards, mentally ill by their standards. I can't imagine what they're saying for I don't want to know what my analysis is. No, I'll pass. AZ Infidel says, yes, Gary, they don't consider anyone normal. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys for coming in on this Sunday. And yes, nice to see Positively Penny here and Mini Ram TV. I really appreciate it. And Awesome Alice says, processing feelings nor is coping skills. They don't talk about that much anymore. Yeah, well, I think I don't know what the stats are specifically, but I would imagine, of course, a lot of people have had their lives more than disrupted. Not to mention, the youngest, the kids. And also I've talked about the No Mask for Kids site that's courtesy of CFFS, the Citizens for Free Speech. That speaks to some of the challenges that they dealt with. They dealt with, whether it was an internal challenge or, whether it was dermatological. You can go onto that site and see, maybe how this may have affected their mental health, but they're not looking for anything to support, a balanced argument. They're just doing their arguments, which, got plenty of holes there. I'm going to read a couple of comments here. Zero Infinite says, well, there's no such thing as normal. I'd say, yeah, what is normal? What is normal? Positively Penny says, I like to know what is normal nowadays. And Awesome Alice's lady in GA went to one of the meetings and said, it is time to take these masks off our children. It was emotional, but yet inspiration. And Blessed Life, thank you so much for tuning in, says, quote, normal is really only applicable in matters such as psychological health. Otherwise, most people simply mean common. Okay. You guys are digging in there. I really appreciate every single one of you guys for coming in. And we're going to do a couple of infomercials. And then we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for coming in. It's AZ Infidel. He says it's fluid. All right. So we're going to do a couple of infomercials. And then we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. And we will start with a thanks to our friends over in Texas for their support via the podcast. Be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, there's something for everyone. So please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys, I thank you guys so much for tuning in for this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And I do have a slight announcement, if you will. This Thursday it will be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll be making an appearance on another content creators channel, and I'll get you guys the deets. That would be details. I'll get you the deets on that. So, of course, I think it'd be nice if you guys came around, and I'm sure the chat you'd be well received by the chat there. And so it'll be on that. It will be Thursday. I'll get you all the details and including the time. And so, we're going to talk about, I guess, quite a few things. And if I have something else to post for you, I will do that. And you may be interested in coming over, because we're going to get into quite a few things. And also you'll get a chance to mingle with some other YouTubers, content creators, or kindred spirits. So I just want to let you guys know about that. But as I get the finalizations and all, I will give you guys update on that. And if there's a flyer that I can share, I will do that as well. So I appreciate you guys and all of your support. And I'm thinking, yes, we do have, I think I'm going to let you guys read the article over on CFFS. And that article is entitled, Free Speech Has Legal and Ethical Confines. Propaganda does not. And that's coming from Citizens for Free Speech. So I think if you're interested, of course, I have action projects here, which I don't do a lot of advocating for those right now. But Citizens for Free Speech has tons of those if you are looking for ways to get yourself involved. And I think they're more than reputable. And as I've said, Patrick Wood he was picked up by the American Thinker and Epoch Times, and I think one other journal. So you can catch those articles there. And once I get them, I always share those out here for you guys. So, that's one less thing you have to wait for from. I'm not sure where I am in the schedule on those releases, but I usually release those to you guys as soon as I get them. And and maybe you should feel free to share some of these articles, because there are, behind the scenes, I think people are doing things, even though they don't really get the coverage or the exposure that they quite deserve. But it's always helpful if we share things out where available. So I really appreciate you guys. So I'm going to read a comment here. Hazy Infidel says, well, I reject psychology and psychiatry altogether. And Awesome Alice says, that gives me an idea. I think I would make a chart, the normal spectrum. Let us see what that looks like, Awesome Alice. Really appreciate it. And Gary Gage says, it takes all kinds to make the world go round. That's how we used to explain crazy. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you I'm not sure who's over on Twitch right now, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And one more time, I want to give a specific shout out to Derek C. Williams 2.0. So if you've seen Derek C. Williams has been a consistent supporter of the channel. He's also a content creator. And I've talked a little bit just briefly about Derek's platform, and but he's having to rebuild because of the powers that be on, as he says, their tube. So if you could support Derek C. Williams, or consider supporting him, or taking a look at his content. If you were subscribed before, it would be good if you could just take a look again, because a little bit too much truth juice will get you. They don't like that around here. So, but thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. And because I will tell you, they basically charged him with medical misinformation. And to TDOA's point, these were other content creators. Many of those were the other content creators' posts. So I think you guys know how the story goes. You probably by now, I'm sure you've discovered some other content creators or channels that you like to view or that you follow, and those have disappeared as well. So, I just think that's what the networking is all about here. In fact, that's what brought me here. So support where available, and thank you so much, Derek C. Williams, for all that you do. All right, I just want to say hi to everybody and salute on this Sunday and get you guys on your way. AZ Infidel, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all your support. Awesome Alice, thank you so much for coming in. And yes, Awesome Alice, I will look up that story. You said there was another tragic situation. Yikes. Thank you so much. At a birthday party. I wish I had that link, but I don't have it. The Spirit of Liberty, thank you so much for coming in. Spirit of Liberty, 1775. Also, Tyrants Bane TDOA, thank you so much for all that you do, supporting the channel. As well as Alex Bleeping Jones, thank you so much for all that you do and for supporting us around here. And Jermaine G, thank you so much for coming back. And the Information Man Show, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And Zero the Infinite, thank you so much for coming in. John H. Roberts Jr. And Ronnie Mann coming in with the voyeur alert. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. As well as Old School Wolf Media. Thank you so much for coming in. It's always a pleasure to have you around here. Thank you. And I'll make sure I'm not missing anyone. Minin Ram TV. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And as I've said before in details, on some level, if you guys hit that like button and help us out with the AI, who knows what the artificial intelligence is saying about me, and in my mental, what my mental analysis is, what the psychological analysis is right now. It's probably not very good. I'm not being a good girl here on my channel. Gary Gage, thank you so much for tuning in. Positively Paid, thank you so much for coming in. And make sure Blessed Life, thank you so much for coming in. So yes, and of course we haven't checked in with the World Economic Forum in a while, but I think they give us, the blueprint is there, and I think it's the overarching structure of a lot of these changes, and however painful or how slowly they come to pass, they're definitely not just, they're manifest from somewhere. They're not just coming out of nowhere. So, and the World Economic Forum is not a conspiracy-based, it's not a conspiracy thing. You don't have to go in a back alley or go in an underground sphere or a tree to check out the World Economic Forum. It's a real live forum full of elite. I mean, if you have, you can even attend the meetings if you want yourself. I think Davos was in Singapore this year. And yes, so they're not hiding what, it's not a secret where they are and that they exist. And in fact, they invite you to come over and see how they think your life should be and how you will benefit for all these wonderful decisions and choices that they're making for the greater good of humanity and for the consumer. All right, guys, thanks so much again for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next live stream in the comments section on video. Night Q, a Moonlight stream, a Real Under, or another video. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday evening, and good Monday, good start of your week.